Said that once when they was playing basketball in front of the house, that I ran across the street and I stood in front of everybody and just posed in a pink dress. I said, well, that couldn't have been me. He said, why not? I said, because I don't like pink.
I didn't say anything about you.
Yeah, you're not.
So, oh yeah, when I used to go to school, I used to always steal a few pieces of my sisters and put them in my bag. And on my way to school, I'd dress.
Start a fire.
And of course, the teacher would call and tell my mama. And my mama would take all that stuff and burn it up. I always loved school. Yeah, I did. I was very good. I was into education. Then, around 16, I really got
Wait a minute, I'm recording this.
Dressing up and becoming who I was. That as a trans woman. So, you know, school got kind of difficult and I just left. And I started hanging out with a friend of mine, Miss Nikki. And we would be boosters, you know. That's shoplifting. And I was really good at it because I was going to the stores and I'd come out almost pregnant. You know, and I'd have a whole bunch of stuff. But once, how I got in, oh honey, that's a story. The case of the alligator bag. I was in the store, I saw this alligator bag. Oh,
Alright, wait a minute.
And I've been arrested a couple of times before, but I got off on it. You know, and if I stayed in time in jail, it was only a day or two or something like that. But this was probably the third time I was arrested, and I got caught. And when I got to central booking, they asked me, was I a man or a woman? And I said that I was a woman. But then they looked at my identification, and my identification was male. And their thing is that if you have a penis, then you go into a male prison. That's like, I heard a girl tell me back in the day that the girls had to have one piece of male clothing on them, you know, when they were caught. So, since my identification said I was male, and they felt since I had a penis, they put you in with the men. And I had this blouse on that was a little too revealing with my breasts. And I had on a mini skirt and some high heel shoes. My hair was done lovely. When they put me in this, go to take me to the cell, I look and I see 20, 30 men. And I tell the guard, I said, could you get me something that I could cover myself? Because, I mean, he said, well, if you didn't dress like a $20 hoe, you'd be all right. And he shoved me in. And when I got in there, and all the men looked up at me, and all I felt like was a deer in headlights. And they started catcalling and started whistling and hey baby and all of this other kind of stuff. And I knew what was about to happen. So I saw this little corner and I went and sat there and I was covering myself like this so not to expose my breast. And these three guys came over and they started talking. And they started being nice, like asking me questions like, you know, what did I do? What was my name? And how old was I? And I was telling them. And then they started to get a little different. And how big my breast was. And did I take hormones? And one of them said homo pills. And I told him, no, I don't take homo pills. I take hormones. Then he reached into my shirt and grabbed my breast. And I grabbed his hand and dug my nails into him. And he grabbed me by the throat. And he said, look, we could do this two ways. Easy or hard. It's on you. And then they said that they was part of a gang and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm thinking that, well, maybe all these men are in here, maybe somebody's going to say, leave her alone, you know, or something, but nobody said nothing. they just watched this go down right in front of their eyes. And then next thing I know, they take me in the back to where the bathrooms was. That's where they raped me. They made me give all 3 of them blowjobs. And they raped me. And nobody said nothing. Nobody said a word. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't deserve this. I'm in this cell with criminals, with murderers, and rapists, and all of this stuff, and I'm just a shoplifter for an alligator bag. And then this big guy comes in, and he tells them, move over. And he tells me to get up and turn around. And I said, no, mister, please, no.
Oh, okay.
And he said, turn around. And I turned around. And he pulled down my skirt. And he made a joke, said, hey, look, she's got on panties. And he pulled my panties down and made me take them off. And he raped me. He put my panties and stuffed them in my mouth because I was screaming and crying the whole time. And the guards didn't come. Nobody came. And when he finished, the guards came in and he told me, go sit down and don't say nothing. And I sat down and they moved us to another place. And all I walked through the halls, all the men was just screaming and yelling and hey baby, cat calls and stuff. And then when I changed into these, they all stood there and looked, and they made me change in front of everybody. Then they took me to another place, a cell, and they put me in. That's where I was by myself. Not 20 minutes went by when somebody else came in. And I'm wondering, where's the guards? What's going on? And he made me give him sexual favors too. One of the guards said to me, if you want me to do something for you, what you gonna do for me? When they finally put me in here, total isolation, like I'm some hardened criminal that I don't kill 10 people or somebody. No sunlight. Just this dank, dark, dusky cell. This is where they put us trans girls. This is where it is.
That is so cool.
Everyone who fights for their rights eventually ends up here. Spares and change for a dying queen, darling. Oh, I am dying. I know you don't believe me, but us queens know what we're talking about. Yes, we do. We're for the liberation. Yes, we are. I remember the first time I went to the Stonewall Inn. Oh, I was hanging out in the village with my friends, and I had on my little white shirt and my little black pants and my little shoes that my mother had bought me. And one of my friends said, well, let's go over to the Stonewall. And I said, okay. So we go over and, when we walked in, Lord have mercy, I couldn't believe my eyes. When it was men dancing with men and women dancing with women, and one more gorgeous than the other, and way in the back, way in the back, were my sisters. I up in gold lame and wigs for days, child. Well, we hanging out in the Stonewall, and I come up against Miss June, who's feeling kind of low and nodding out on down. And I said, "How you doing, girl?" And she looks up at me and she says, "Baby, if them motherfucking pigs come in here messing with me tonight, they better stay off my motherfucking case." I said, "That's right, girl." And just as she said that, the bell done rung and the whistle done blew, and in they come pushing and shoving just like a bunch of pigs. I mean, they pushing and shoving everybody, and nobody says nothing. See, because in those days, if you was gay, you didn't say you was gay. Now they pushing and shoving everybody, and nobody says nothing till they come to the queens. Well, this one pig picks Miss June up, knocks her down, rips her dress, and scratches her face. Now, darling, can we talk? Now, you know, history has got it that us queens are kind of sort of easygoing types that you can just push and shove around any kind of way you want. Well, there are two things you cannot do to a queen. One, never rip a queen's dress. Two, don't you ever, never, ever touch the face, darling. Well, Miss June jumps up and starts screaming and hollering, and I said, "Why don't you leave her alone? She's not bothering nobody." And this pig looked me straight in the face and said, "Shut up, you sick faggot." Can we talk again? You see, I have been called a lot of things. Bitch, homo, cocksucker, a low-down mangy coon. But ain't nobody got the right to call me a piece of wood. That's right, a faggot is a piece of wood. I looked it up in the Webster's and it said right there that a faggot is a piece of wood. And I ain't no piece of wood. And I was telling that to that pig when he came to hit me. Well, next thing you know, the chair started flying and the desk started being thrown around. And Queens was hollering and screaming. And Queens was getting their faces scratched and their dresses ripped. And you know what that meant. And we ended up in the tombs again. But that was okay, because that was the beginning of gay liberation in New York City and across the country as we know it today. Now, some of you has kind of sort of forgot who did what, who said what, to get you sitting here in all your liberated glory. So the next time you sitting in one of those bars where they're sitting under that sign, it says no drugs, no drunks, no dogs, no drags. Could you imagine comparing me to a dog? Well, I just want to break down but that's okay. Because you see, when I tip, I stay tipped. And they can 86 me out of every bar in the village, and they can 86 me out of every bar in the city, and they can 86 me out of every bar in the country. You see, because I know who my friends are. My friends are the people who love their gay brothers and sisters, including the queens. My friends are the people that got change to spare. So the next time you see me, and I say, "Spare some change for a dying queen, darling," I want you to dig real deep down in your pocket and pull out some of that change that you saving for your cold beer and your hot dog. And I want you to spare some change for a dying queen, darling.